Dr. Ash, tell me a little bit about Kwik Clot that y'all are carrying on the ambulances now, and how this came about, where it first started from, and why y'all decided to start using it, and how effective it's been so far in the program.
So the product has been in development for years by the military, particularly to address situations as was featured in the movie Black Hawk Down, where a soldier had a junctional wound or a groin wound that couldn't be treated. There's not really an effective treatment for that right now. Generally speaking, if the wound is lower down, you can use things like tourniquets. But what's in one of those junctional areas, it's very difficult to manage the hemorrhage. So these products have been in development for years and have now been proven in the military. So we've moved them onto the ambulance to treat those sorts of wounds.
How many different scenes do you get a year where something like this is effective?
Well, it's hard to say because we've just started doing that. We've had 6 cases where we've used this Kwik Clot or combat gauze. In all 6 cases, it's turned out very well for the patient. We feel confident, at least in several of the patients, that they would have died if not having these sorts of technology.
Just basically from loss of blood? From
loss of blood.
Tell me how this works and what it actually does.
So the gauze is impregnated with a substance which is clay-based. And what that does is when you put it on the wound, on the vessel that's bleeding, it causes clotting to happen. So we can actually clot off major bleeding from major arteries with this product.
What effectiveness, you've got it here in Montgomery County. Other counties start not handling it. You're basically one of the first in the state, or?
So as far as we know, we're the first in the country to distribute this Kwik Clot product to all of our ambulances. And in fact, we're working on getting it for our first responders as well. It's relatively expensive compared to traditional gauze. However, it's proven itself in the military setting, and in a lot of circumstances, there's no substitute for it.
Any particular incidents you can think of? That something like this, what type of, what about as far as some of these scenes, where have you seen it really work? Where is it most effective for the paramedics in the field?
We've seen it work in a variety of settings, mostly extremity wounds, in circumstance of traumatic amputation, for instance. This technology combined with tourniquets have proven very effective at saving a person's life.
How much blood loss can there be, like on an amputation? How much blood loss would you actually have if you didn't have this compared to, just packing with gauze still absorbing all of it compared to putting something like this in?
You can have complete blood loss. You can certainly die from these wounds. And that's where a lot of the hemorrhage control efforts have been focused in the past few years in the civilian setting, is effective control of extremity hemorrhage, because people shouldn't die from extremity wounds when we have tourniquets and products like Kwik Clot that can control the hemorrhage.
Now, Kwik Clot's even available over the counter for someone, the pharmacies now for small cuts or people basically that bleed freely and such as that. How effective is that?
It's shown to work very well. Again, in the civilian world, we're still looking at studies and working on studies to show its effectiveness versus traditional gauze management. But certainly, anecdotally, it's been very effective, particularly when patients have a bleeding disorder or on blood thinners.